This next presentation I've had highlighted in my program for a couple of weeks now, so I'm really looking forward to this one. We all know that hospitality industry can be demanding, but today we're focusing on something that doesn't get talked about enough: mental health and burnout. Kris Hall, founder of the Burnt Chef Project, has dedicated his career to tackling mental health stigma with the hospitality industry. Today, Kris will address how the outdated beliefs are fueling burnout and what we can do to rewrite the culture of hospitality. Ladies and gentlemen, give a warm welcome to Kris Hall.
God, it's a lot brighter up here than I was expecting. I want to start by saying thank you to Arwin and the rest of the Home Nations team for a fantastic fundraising dinner last night. I'm sorry I couldn't make it, but by way of apologies, I'd like the room to give them a massive round of applause, please, for that fundraising dinner. I spoke to someone who was at the dinner and they said one of the best things about it was the Welsh wine. So I think you guys have absolutely smashed it from that perspective. Gutted I didn't try any. So, Burnt Chef Project, just a quick show of hands. Who has heard of the Burnt Chef Project? Fuck. That's good. That's really good. For those that haven't heard of the Burnt Chef Project, it's, quite frankly, is a photography campaign. Or it was a photography campaign that I started 7 years ago through a lived experience of mental health issues myself. I was never a chef, which is why I'm not wearing a chef's jacket. I have no right to wear a chef's jacket at all. But I was working in the fine dining industry, supplying chefs all across the southwest of England. And having experienced mental health challenges myself, and masking those with drugs, with alcohol, trying to remain as perfect as possible, both in my home life and at work, I knew firsthand the detriment that not talking and not opening up really had on me. Unfortunately for me, that meant packing my bags and trying to leave my wife and my family because I just didn't belong anymore. That was a real profound moment for me. And it wouldn't be as easy, of course it would never be as easy, to just click my fingers and go, do you know what, yeah, I'll go to the doctors and I'll go get help. No, that would be far too simple. It took months to get help for what I had as a dirty little secret. It took months to find a therapist that was far enough away from home and far enough away from work that I knew I wouldn't be followed when I went to therapy. And even when I was sat in front of that therapist chair after checking in my mirrors of my car and looking around to make sure I hadn't been followed, I sat down and she said, "What is it that you want to get out of this session? Why are you here?" And I said, well, I've got all of this negativity in my head, this negative self-talk. I can't function on a daily basis without feeling like I'm hiding. I just want to walk around with a big, empty space in my head, like everyone else in this room, no internal monologue. And she said, everyone has an internal monologue. You're not alone. I said, well, fuck. There was this big epiphany in my head. I was like, if I'm not alone, then why do I feel so alone? Why isn't everyone else talking about this? And she said, well, that's stigma. That's society. That's culture. That's history. Even if you go back 50 years, less than that in this country, it was illegal to have certain forms of mental ill health. Fuck. I swear a lot. This is why I think I love this sector. I love the professionalism. I love the creativity. I love the drive. But when I started to try and talk to my friends and my colleagues who were accomplished chefs in this industry, and I said to them, I've had mental health issues, and I know that talking about my mental health has allowed me to get better. have you had mental health issues? And they went, no. Yes. But they said to me, no. I said, but you're doing 80-hour weeks. You've been remarried 4 times. It's funny because it's so close to the bone. You're surviving on alcohol and drugs to get through services day after day because you cannot make a mistake. How have you not got mental health issues? I know you have something else going on beneath the scenes. But I couldn't get anyone to talk. So these photos here, they are a style of photography that's become synonymous with the Burnt Chef project recently and over recent years. We did a campaign just in the last 2 days, and we've had over 200 photos similar to this. So if you are interested in having your photo like this, there's a whole prompt on our social media channels. I would urge you to edit a photo like this and put it up. Why? Because it doesn't say, you don't have to say, I am really struggling with my mental health. You just have to share a photo. And it shows that there's more going on behind the scenes than you might think. You never know what's going on in the shadow side of that brain. So understanding and learning about this, and Christ, I've got so much to unpack in such a short period of time. I'll try my hardest. We started the Burnt Chef project. The Burnt Chef project has moved beyond a photography campaign. We are now a global non-profit organization that provides the one and only of its kind multilingual therapy and life coaching in mostly every country around the globe. What started off as a bit of a personal mission for me to try and make sure that people weren't being harmed, with a tiny little bit of ego in the early days, was a case of saying, how can we grow this? How can we do this so that we turn the lens away from your customers, the ones who you focus so much on when it comes down to sustainability, around produce, around flavor, taste, experience, and how can we put the spotlight on you to help support you? The Burnt Chef project last month just launched in the US with a 501c that's veteran-owned, and also in Canada. We're about to make start in Australia because the work that we're doing doesn't just go as far as therapy and life coaching. We've trained over 10,000 students in 5 years, face-to-face, in Sydney, in Joburg, all across the UK, Ireland, all over the world. We're training the future generation of hospitality professionals on what it is to have and look after your mental health and well-being. And we also have 400 ambassadors around the globe as well. These are people with lived experiences. People like you who have lost friends, who have been impacted by burnout, by mental health issues, by broken marriages. These are the driving force behind what makes us such a powerful organization. And in the last year alone, we reached 46.8 million people with our message. So, my talk today is with 11 minutes to talk about burnout and the badge of honor. Someone said earlier on the talk, I think Wojciech, who has fundraised for us as well, so thank you to Wojciech, said, let's change the narrative. When I started talking about mental health, and why I started questioning, why are we doing 80-hour weeks? Why are we surviving on limited sleep, on cultures that perhaps aren't that great for us physically and mentally? And I got told the same thing time and time again. That's just the way we do it. That's just the way we do it. Why? Because someone 50 years ago invented that, or 100 years ago, and now that's what we're doing? Do you remember you used to say, I did 80 hours last week? And someone else would turn around and go, yeah, I did 85. Yeah, 85 hours. Now, I used to think that was an ego thing, a case of going, I'm built stronger and harder than you. But actually, I've changed my thought process recently. It's almost a form of bonding that says, I've done 85 hours. I need someone to tell me, whoa, that's not okay. To be seen, to feel like, actually, hold on a second, it is okay to put the brakes on. It's such an ingrained culture, our terminology, our wording around this. We used to look at long hours as dedication, showing no weakness. You know, again, that's where the masking comes in, the drugs, the alcohol, the doing more, the covering for your teams, doing 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 days on the trot without a break. We're in a high-performance sport here. You wouldn't expect Mo Farah to run a race, stop, have an espresso, a cheeky little cigarette, handful of chips, and then run back. And then do the same again. And get to the end and go, yeah, look at me, I've just done 4 races in a row. You wouldn't expect it. Ask yourself why. Because he would get injured. He would tire. His performance wouldn't be as effective as if he just did the one race, then had the right nutrients, the rest, the recovery period. So why are we treating our profession, our revered profession, any differently from a high-performance sport? Why are we glamorizing the surviving? The stats in itself, I was going to get you all to stand up if anyone had been in fact, do you know what? I'm going to run over by 2 minutes, sorry guys. I would like you now, in real time, to show the extent of this. Stand up if you or someone you know has had problems or experienced difficulties with drugs or alcohol. Stand up if someone you know or yourself has experienced divorce through lack of work-life balance. I've almost got a full suite already. Stand up if you or someone you know has lost someone due down to mental health issues whilst working in this sector. Now just take a look around. You are looking at these stats right here, right now. We have over 80% of the room stood up. Sorry, you can sit down, thank you. This is in real time. This is our profession, our sector. 73% of hospitality workers report mental health struggles. I don't believe these stats, so we keep doing research. We keep investigating this. I've now produced 4 academic journals that are medically and psychologically bound. And all of these, again, show that it's around 70 to 80% of professionals are experiencing problems with their mental health. 1 in 3 have considered leaving the industry due to burnout. I think most of us, no matter what country you're in currently, are starting to see the impacts of not having work-life balance and mental health issues, and non-open dialogue around this as well. Over here, we blame it because of Brexit, but every country we operate in, they all have the same challenges. They're not impacted by geopolitical issues. And one of the most harrowing stats, we did some research with a suicide prevention charity. 1 in 3 people who experience difficulties with their mental health in hospitality think about ending their life. 1 in 3. So what I'm asking you to think about when we're talking about badges of honor and strength is that actually we look at what the new badge of honor is. We talk about sustainability. We'll spend £12,000 or $15,000 on an oven to save $1,000 a year. $15,000 to save $1,000 a year on energy. But yet we won't spend $6 a year on providing unlimited therapy and support for our teams. Just let that sink in for a little bit. We're looking at net zero. We're looking at how we give out to our planet and how we enrich the experiences of our customers and our businesses and our supply chain. These are all really important subject matters. but how much attention and how much energy are we putting to our internal teams, to ourselves? When was the last time you took a day off and didn't feel guilty for it? It's a hustle culture, right? When was the last time that we showed strength in vulnerability? You don't have to be on stage talking about mental health issues to show that. Quiet word in someone's ear who you might think is struggling and say, I've been where you are, or something similar. And I'm here to talk and I'm here to help. I don't have the answers. I can't fix it for you, but I want you to know that I understand and I'm here. You know, this is the new badge of honor. Looking at well-being as performance, one of the big organizations we work with, and I'm very lucky, we work with Nestlé Professional in Australia, we work with people like the Ritz and Claridge's and Marsden's and Green King and massive organizations here in the UK. One of those organizations has started to look at the KPI measurement, the stretch targets, by building it around well-being of their team. Have they taken their breaks? Have we encouraged them to take their breaks? Have they demonstrated kindness and empathy with their team members? Have they used support systems and then told other people about this? How do we measure this as a level of performance that generates and encourages change around this subject matter? Because if we don't do it, it costs human life. Our fantastic, beautiful profession, we need to protect, and we need to nurture and instill a change point for future generations as well. There are a few suggestions here in terms of what that looks like in practice, and it doesn't have to be huge levels of investment. Economically, we are all struggling at the moment. I think Tom Kerridge said that operating is at 110% of costs at the moment. It's not cheap to do business. But you don't have to spend much money on trying to change this narrative and rewriting burnout as a badge of honor. Check-ins with your team. Training managers to recognize early warning signs. Even just being curious about what I'm saying now and investigating the Burnt Chef project. I mean, fuck, put a picture up. It takes 2 seconds. Put a picture up. Tag the Burnt Chef project in it with one of those moody images, and that will reach all of your network who will suddenly then become aware of the Burnt Chef project and access our free learning resources. Access free life coaching and therapy that we pay for in every part of the globe. That one small thing, that one small moment, 5 minutes. Creating space for honest conversations. Again, use your own personal experiences. 80-odd% of you stood up in the room when I asked questions about mental illness and mental health. You all have lived experience. Use that as a strength. Because we are at war here. It's a hidden war. People can't see it. You can't touch it. But hell, can you feel it if it doesn't go well? So be part of that. Get in the trenches with us and help us. Culture change doesn't happen overnight, okay? But by putting some of these small actions into place, we can create long-term sustainable change. Because if, like me, you absolutely, wholeheartedly love this industry, and you want the future generation, kids in schools, to consider this as a viable career choice, it's not the children that we need to convince to come into this sector. We need to convince the parents. I ask so many times when we're doing big workshops, how many people have children? How many of you chefs and front of house teams have children? Everyone puts their hand up. Then I say, how many would let their children work in hospitality? It's funny because, again, it's so raw and true. We have an opportunity here to make a change that hasn't been seen since the Escoffier system came in, to create balance, to create safety, to create a healthy and safe future environment for our children and their children moving forward. To change the PR narrative around hospitality being a really hard and terrible place to work, because it's not that. It's so much more than that. But if we keep doing the things that we've always done, we're never going to get change. So consider some of these steps. And if you don't know where to begin, head across to our website, check it out. We have free e-learning. We've got 28 modules to do around menopause, neurodiversity, bullying, Christ, even how to sleep better. Just put your hands up if you struggle with sleep in this room. Okay. Again, not full of technical jargon, not written like an academic piece. Check out the e-learning. We have 24/7 support, so if you identify or you think that someone you know or even you yourself is struggling with some of the topics that we've discussed today, head across to our website. There's a full help of resources. And as a final point, similarly to the Home Nations doing a fundraiser for us last night, we are only 7 years old. And in those 7 years, we've delivered £3.2 million of impact. 30% of our revenue comes through fundraising. The rest we generate through partnerships and commercials. So I'm asking you now, as a global community who are already providing services to your countries, we need your help. So if you can help us burn the stigma and change. I'm not going to lie, that caught me by surprise, that one. I forgot I put that in there. Ladies and gents, thanks very much.